You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
What's going on, U.S. Cellular customers? I've got good news, so don't hit skip, at least not yet. I'm talking about their special customer event, Us Days. What is Us Days? It means exclusive offers just for their customers, just to say thanks, like $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet. No, I didn't just misread that. They must really like you. Us Days at U.S. Cellular, exclusive offers just for you, just to say thank you. Right now, U.S. Cellular customers get $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet. Terms apply. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident fanalist, as always, Ryan Schlip. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_dadam. Well, start with a little bit of news and notesy, and then I want to do a little bit of bragging. A little bit of what the heck is going on here. So I made this into a YouTube video, which I went back and looked at it, and it seems like the audio is all jacked up. But anyways, I'm going to play that audio for you, because I don't want to have to do it a second time. So here it is, talking about the psychotic hypocrisy of Chicago Bears fans and their views of less Caleb Williams and more Justin Fields. As always, constant delusion surrounding Justin Fields. Here we go. If you know anything about what I do, especially on the podcast, you know that I have a tendency to talk about the Bears a little bit here and there. It's a whole thing. Just giving you some backstory here. So, for starters, this man right here is Zach Pearson. You may have seen him. He's a prominent Chicago Bears reporter. I feel like he and I at least used to have some pretty good rapport. Maybe we do. I don't know. But things between me and a lot of Chicago Bears reporters, fans, whatever, started to spiral over the Justin Fields era. The reason being, very simply, I was very adamant that Fields was a bad quarterback. A very, 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 very bad quarterback. And they got very angry. And they would fight me tooth and nail. Constantly. In fact, there are a couple that still refuse to let go and are convinced that there's a real quarterback competition going on in Pittsburgh, which is fake. Justin Fields is terrible over there, just like he always was in Chicago. The reason I bring all that up is because I spent years trying to convince Bears fans that they don't actually have a good quarterback. There's no evidence to suggest they have a good quarterback. Things are actually quite bad, and you might need to go ahead and find yourself a new one. Now, the Bears do have a new quarterback. And interestingly enough, we're starting to hear a different tone. And a little annoyed by it. And so I'm going to go ahead and, we're going to talk about it a little bit. So here's just a couple clips of Mr. Bill T. Zimmerman over at Second City Gridiron over on YouTube. Feel free to subscribe. By the way, I'm not trying to go too hard at anybody. I'm just saying, if you give me that much crap and I've been right for 3 years, I get to talk a little trash. Okay? Now, here's what we're hearing about Caleb. Not only are we hearing Caleb looks really good, which is fine. He probably does. He's a talented guy, right? But we're hearing how talented he looks in contrast to how trash Justin Fields looked. Which is interesting to me for a couple reasons. Here we go.
Just how smooth it is, for Caleb Williams. Now, with like Fields, you'd see the flashes in these mini camps and in training camps.
It's just flashes.
You'd see the arm talent sometimes, but it was just a lot of inconsistencies. Even in like drills and stuff. Like with Caleb, go routes are like pretty much if you go to any practice, you'll see go routes for 3 to 4 minutes. I don't think I've seen a quarterback put the ball in the same exact spot, like every single go route.
That's weird because that's not the way it was presented for many years. Justin Fields is dominating training camp. He's an incredibly gifted quarterback. All this stuff, it's just everybody else's fault. Now you're telling me that the guy can't put the ball in the same place 2 times in a row? That's what we're talking about? I didn't know that's what we were talking about.
The best way to describe it is it looks more like a quarterback with the motion and all that going on.
It looks more like a quarterback.
It just kind of feels different. Like he's made some throws.
To be clear, he looks like a quarterback, and that's different. Wow. I remember it was somewhat blasphemous, not even among Bears fans, but the entire national media and national fan base, and even half of the Green Bay Packers fan base, when you would say that Justin Fields isn't a quarterback, that was blasphemy. And I said it a lot. And so I know exactly how I was treated when I said that. And now we have a prominent Bears reporter saying that this just looks different. He looks more like a quarterback. That's kind of crazy. What else have we got here?
Justin, it happened in games, and it just never felt like it got to the stage where it was like you could feel consistently good about a quarterback throwing the ball with those two. And Justin obviously has his athletic ability and would make spectacular plays, but as a passer, just for me, it never was consistent.
Wait a minute. Never? At no point. So now Bears fans are saying, at no point did it ever feel like Justin Fields was anything more than an athletic guy. He was never there as a passer. Where did this come from? I'm not going to say public enemy number one among Bears fans, because I don't think that that's the case, but I'm certainly not very well liked. And the only thing I ever really did, with a couple other exceptions, was try to get them to see through data and all other means that Justin Fields is not as good as they're pretending that he is. And you're telling me now that you never saw it with him as a passer. Never. That's freaking crazy.
You
won't believe.
Get out of my life.
How old this couple is.
Excuse me? I ask people who are in really good shape, what kind of diet?
Do
We had
you?
good 7-on-7 periods where we were like, wow, like, okay, that's good. They also had a lot of, and I'm sure you probably remember this too, where it was a lot of bad, like a lot of incompletions.
I don't remember.
A lot of late time to throw, things like that. Yesterday,
I do remember. I commented on it, but I don't remember Bears fans really talking about it. In fact, when I brought it up, it was a whole lot of, rent-free, some other kind of stupid nonsense.
with Caleb, besides that one play to Steven Carlson, it was out quick. It was the right read. It was the open read. It was the arm talent. So I'd say at this stage where Justin was his rookie year, at this stage compared to Caleb, I think Caleb is ahead. And I just think there's going to be a difference. We're going to see it in training camp with those 7-on-7, 11-on-11s, where Caleb's going to look very polished and pretty good in those drills.
Yeah. Also, just wanted to bring up something else since we're here. Let's scroll down a little bit further here. Because I made a lot of other predictions. For example, I talked about that linebacker you overpaid, and I told you that last year was an outlier, and he's not going to be very good next year, and he was garbage last year, and I'm not hearing a whole lot about that. The other thing that I said is that Nate Davis is not a good football player, and I got skewered for that. I'm curious to hear a little bit about their thoughts on Nate Davis. There's another guy that I got screamed at and whatever else happens on social media, saying that dude's not very good. He's probably not that much. Oh, yes, he is, blah, blah, blah. Okay, shut up.
Rough quote for me that I'd like to stay here, but no offers on the table.
I
know they're worried about the injuries, but that was rough.
Yeah, and like Tevin is he's a great guy. He is like, he'll tell you he'll be completely honest with you. And I feel like the regime he was drafted into, they kind of screw him around a little bit. He had the stuff before training camp, the injury, things like that. I don't think Nate Davis will be here after this year. Who knows what they're going to do at center?
Don't think Nate Davis will be here. What else we got on Nate Davis really quick, which is weird because I thought Nate Davis was super amazing.
Going into this OTAs and minicamp, no, I probably wouldn't even think about that. After hearing Eberflus, seeing what's going on with Nate Davis, it's on my radar. I'm not 50-50, 60-40. It's on my radar to kind of watch and see what they do with this offensive line, because someone's getting those reps when Nate Davis is out. Someone's getting an opportunity to show I can do this. If he's out for training camp and the pads are on, not a good thing.
Yeah. So the bottom line is Nate Davis just refuses to show up. He doesn't want to be in Chicago, and he was never that good to begin with. Anyways, let's get back to Justin Fields here for a second, because, again, astonished that Bears fans who absolutely lost their minds when I said Justin Fields was not a good quarterback are now saying, man, Caleb looks so good. We never saw that when Fields was here. I want to point out a couple things. Let's go back and actually look at what Bears fans were saying, because they're lying, or at least Zach is. Sorry, Zach, but it is what it is, when they say that Justin Fields didn't really look that good as a rookie. In fact, the reason that I knew that to begin with is because I remember specifically when Justin Fields was getting all these positive reports, and the first thing I did was to go and see if the same thing was being said about Trubisky. So I could point out how you said the same thing about Trubisky, but they didn't. They called out Trubisky. They said Trubisky looked like garbage, right? So I was like, okay, I guess I can't use that. They didn't like Trubisky. They really didn't like the draft pick, so there was no parallels there, right? I wanted to go back and draw the parallels to see how, you said the same thing about Trubisky. They never did. They never liked the pick. They never thought he looked good in practice. They were never Trubisky fans. Ironically, Trubisky was a better quarterback than Fields, at least a better passer. But anyways, it wasn't there. And that's how I knew it. So let's go through a couple examples here. We've got NFL.com. Kevin Patra, rookie quarterback Justin Fields impresses in preseason debut, sparks Bears rally past the Dolphins. We've got Alyssa Barbieri over at Bears Wire. Bears Justin Fields says NFL game was kind of slow to me. We got our friend over here from DeWindy City Productions. Here's a little bit of what he had to say.
The play, he had a couple plays after that, guys. My God, that was a special ball by Fields. Okay, so it's going down the field to Javon Wims. Javon Wims is just running a...
Just want to point out, the title of this video here is Justin Fields has an insane practice.
Basic vertical route, going down the field, trying to get in between the safety and the cornerback that was on him. And Fields just delivered the ball perfectly at the right time to Wims, in between the safety and the corner. Okay, so it's right in the middle, and lofted it over the cornerback's heads, placed it also where the safety couldn't make a play on the ball either, and he put the ball right in Wims' hands. Okay, so that was just such a great play by Fields. First of all, recognizing Wims open down the field, but also delivering that ball.
So you got recognition, you got accuracy, you got all this stuff. That's weird. That's kind of an interesting thing. We'll get back to that one. Here's Louis Riddick talking about Justin Fields.
First and foremost, look, we all know that there was
Make
a
this
lot
louder.
of BS circling around Justin Fields heading into the draft. As far as whatever his level of football intelligence was, whatever his level of commitment was to the game, was he going to be the guy who's going to go the extra mile to be great or not? But there was a lot of that going on, a lot of it. Now, I'm going to just tell you this. I'm pretty well connected in Chicago. From day one that he has gotten there, they could not be happier and more ecstatic about his level of commitment, his attention to detail, his football IQ, his willingness and desire, and how intentional he has been to eliminate all distractions, his leadership, his poise, his swagger, his respect towards Andy Dalton, as far as saying, hey, look, I know why I'm here, but at the same time, I know you've been a good pro. So he has been a guy who has kind of fallen in line, performed when he's needed to perform, but also shown Andy the level of respect that he believes that Andy deserves. When he gets out on the football field, his continuous progression as far as being able to get all these long, lengthy play calls communicated in the huddle, his ability to know what not only he's doing, but what everyone else is doing. And that improvement that he's making every single day has them, I can just tell you this, it has them freaking ecstatic.
Wow.
It's just a matter of now, when, as I said before, when do they kind of like pull that show cover off of him and say, hey, look, it's time for you to go? Because Matt wants to play it safe with him because he wants him to be great. And I get that. I'm just saying I think it's going to be I think they're just going to have to at some point in time just go, man, just put him in there. Enough of this waiting. Put him in there. Because he is blowing their minds as far as how happy they have been with everything that he's doing.
Wow. Obviously, that's very different than what we're hearing about Caleb Williams here. Shut up. Very different. Completely different thing there. Article here, Bears training camp report, days 4 and 5. Justin Fields is heating up. Let's see, a couple of these other ones we'll skip over here. Justin Fields is impressing the Chicago Bears in NFL rookie training camp. Justin Fields' natural arm talent is taking over Bears training camp. Wow, that sounds impressive. Justin Fields draws comparisons to Russell Wilson. That is so freaking hilarious. So absolutely hilarious that that's a title. What else we got here? Justin Fields is swaying young Ohio football fans to root for the Bears. Wow, he's recruiting people. And then he did great here, et cetera, et cetera. I want to get to this one, though. This one's the most interesting to me because this is a podcast, Windy City Gridiron for the Chicago Bears. Bear with me as Justin Fields hype reel. Do you know who the expert is commenting on this? Do you know who it is? It's none other than Zach Pearson. Zach Pearson from Bear Report. And here is that dialogue. Come on now.
And we are back with Bear With Me, a Chicago Bears podcast hosted by yours truly, Robert Schmitz, as we talk through training camp with Zach Pearson.
There you go.
Tell I've been reading too much. Sorry.
You're Jets fan, aren't you?
I've just been watching all these rookie quarterbacks as much as I could because, I mean, it's the same thing I did with Mitch Trubisky, obviously. How's Deshaun Watson? How's Patrick Mahomes? And we know how that worked out.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, the analytics darling before the draft seems to have stayed the NFL darling after the draft. Yep. Is Justin Fields just looking better than Trubisky did, or does he look legitimately good? Like, what are we talking about here?
Man.
By the way, just the conversation. Granted, it was true that they didn't like Trubisky, whereas it's a lie now that they didn't like Justin Fields. But doesn't this sound exactly like the exact conversation they're having with Caleb Williams? Is it just me, or does he just look way better than Fields? Like,
I don't want to jinx anything. I don't want to get anyone's hopes up. He looks good. He looks really good. And I think the main thing with him was his first couple of days, he kind of struggled with his practices. Andy Dalton looked like the veteran that was learning quicker and how he should. Justin Fields looked just like he should. It was his first day of training camp as a rookie. You really can't expect much. These past 4 practices or so, 5 maybe, he's gotten better every single one. And it's to the point where I've been saying it all offseason. I think the Bears are very comfortable with Andy Dalton starting. And I think the Bears have set the bar so high that if Justin Fields gets that mark, it's a win-win because then you have a potential star in your hands. If he falls short, the bar was set so high and they're so comfortable with Andy Dalton that, it's fine. It's a win-win for them. I'm at the point right now, we're 2 weeks into training camp and we got a couple more to go. I'm starting to think there is a shot that he could start week 1. I don't know if it's going to happen. I think the door is still open though. He's kept that door open and probably nudged it open a little more than what many thought would, where it would be right now. Those practices the past couple of days have just been, damn good. Like I've told people I've seen, the arm talent Jay Cutler at times spin the football, how the football kind of comes off his arm. You didn't see that with Mitch Trubisky or Nick Foles
You see what I mean? Exactly the same. It's the exact same conversation, just transposed. You see the way you didn't see that with these guys, but you see it with this guy.
Chase Daniel, Mike Glennon, any of these quarterbacks. Andy Dalton too. No, how the ball comes out of Justin Fields' hands, the zip, the accuracy, the spin on it.
The spin.
It's like something else. And not only that, but he can essentially adjust his arm angle and make all of those throws. You saw the one that was going around on Twitter yesterday, right?
Who didn't?
He's had at least probably 2 or 3 of those that no one's caught on video, or I haven't seen them yet, but I've seen them in practice. We're like, whoa, how the heck did he make that throw? He's got others where his arm angle's not that low, and it's kind of in between that he's made where he's kind of just
right.
It's hard to explain. It's like, I don't know. It's like, wow, did he just do that on the fly? Like, how do you adjust your arm angle and be that, it's almost like he's throwing it around a defender, like to make it go in a circle in a way. And it's I don't know, man. It's crazy. It's like, it's insane to see this type of arm talent. And not only that, but he's getting better with, his decision making. There was a throw the other day. They're kind of down like 50.
Tell you what, I think we get the point. So I'm just curious, when we talk about Caleb Williams and how unique he looks, how different he looks compared to Fields, who just never really had the arm talent. He was athletic, but he never had the arm talent. Am I supposed to take that seriously? Am I supposed to take it seriously when the same people who are talking up Fields and saying he's got arm talent like we've never seen in Chicago before, significantly better than Trubisky and all these other bums that we've had in here, am I supposed to take that seriously? I mean, again, Caleb's a talented guy. I'm not rooting him out because this isn't just... My thing with Fields was never homerism, and I think Bears fans are starting to see that. They'll never admit it, which is why I'm going to come on here and throw it in their face. But it was never homerism. It was never because I'm a Packer fan. I will give you a list a mile long of Chicago Bears players that I admire beyond belief. Justin Fields was never a good football player, and all the excuses Bears fans made because they frickin' overextended, they massively overextended, and didn't have the frickin', fortitude to just man up and say, you know what, I overreached and I was wrong. So we're in a situation now where we have to defend every frickin' thing. We have to come up with excuses upon excuses upon excuses. And then after we say, no more excuses, he's got everything he needs, that season concludes and we just pretend that we didn't say that. And we say, never mind, actually the receivers were the problem and the offensive line is the problem and the coaches are the problem. And he gets new coaches all the time, but every coach is the problem. And then after getting like 3 different coaches, well, then that's the problem. It's not that he needed a good coach. It's that he needed stability, even though we wanted the other. It's just stupid. And now we see the ultimate culmination of stupid when we see Bears fans pretending that they never saw it in Justin Fields, that he never had the arm talent. Give me a frickin' break. Give me an absolute frickin' break. Anyways, let's go ahead and take our first break. We'll come back and have a little bit of chat about the draft. What's going on, U.S. Cellular customers? I've got good news, so don't hit skip, at least not yet. I'm talking about their special customer event, Us Days. What is Us Days? It means exclusive offers just for their customers, just to say thanks, like $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet. No, I didn't just misread that. They must really like you. Us Days at U.S. Cellular, exclusive offers just for you, just to say thank you. Right now, U.S. Cellular customers get $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet. Terms apply.
Have you ever experienced turbulence on a flight and wondered why?
And you can see all the terrain around you. You've got no issue with visibility or anything?
No, everything's peachy.
Maybe you've sat on the tarmac for hours wondering why your plane isn't moving.
Well, we're outside here. They're saying the ramp is closed. They won't let us park because of Air Force One.
Listen in on the conversations between pilots and air traffic controllers on the Air Traffic Out of Control podcast.
510 declaring an emergency. There's smoke in the cabin. I need to make a landing right now on 31 left.
We have the most interesting, wild, and funny ATC recordings you will ever hear. Check out Air Traffic Out of Control wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
So I did also make a video about this. You can check it out on the YouTubes. I'm not going to just replay that audio because a lot of it is visual, and I have to kind of do it more podcasty than YouTubey. But I still want to talk about it because I found it somewhat interesting. I don't know if you saw this at all, but there was an article by WBAY, presumably a Green Bay station. Officials select tentative location for the NFL draft stage. Now, I don't know how familiar you are or are not with Green Bay, Lambeau, that whole thing. I'm not overly familiar with it, aside from, looking on Google Maps quite a bit and kind of getting the lay of the land. But aside from that, I've only been there a handful of times. But it sounds like they've got an idea of where this is going to be. So I don't know why. I guess I had a picture in my head of how this is going to go. And it's probably going to be closer to the picture in my head than the sort of doom and gloom thing that I've got going on now. But the bottom line is it's kind of a tough deal in Lambeau. It's a whole lot of residential. I'm picturing other cities where you got all kinds of stuff. There's giant buildings everywhere. There's shops and stores and all kinds of stuff. This is mostly houses. To the south is all residential. To the north is entirely residential. You've got Lambeau Field. To the west, you've got Titletown, right? So we've got Hinterland, we've got Lodge Kohler, you've got the cool sledding hill and some really nice stuff. And I kind of pictured things being that direction. Unfortunately, if you look at it, it's kind of impossible. The one thing that I thought would be really freaking cool, the street between Lambeau and Titletown is called Ridge Road. And I thought it would be cool if you set up the stage with on the Lambeau side of Ridge Road, butted up against the stadium. So you'd have the stage with Lambeau in the background. You'd see the giant entrance that says Lambeau Field. You'd see the giant American flag in the background, right? And then, you'd essentially have a bunch of people in front of the stage, and then you can go back as far as you want to go, where you got all the cool stuff, lots of places to hang out. Several issues, though. All this stuff has crap in the way, right? Lodge Kohler, Hinterland, there's trees obstructing view. It's not great. And then on top of that, you've got electricity poles and wires and stuff going across. It wouldn't work. It can't work. So you can't go north because it's all houses. You can't go south because it's all houses. You can't go on the fun side over to the west where there's all the stuff. So the only thing left is to the east side. Now, some people said the Resch Center would probably be where it is. The problem with the Resch Center is that, first of all, it's even further away from everything else. You got to go to the east, close to where the Don Hudson Center is, and you're getting kind of away from Lambeau and all that. But the biggest issue is it's all inside. So you wouldn't be able to see anything from the outside. That's no good. That's garbage. And then on top of that, so you'd be walking around. There's nothing to do in Lambeau. There's no draft going on. It's in a building down over there. What are 250,000 people supposed to be doing? So what they've decided to do is Oneida Street is on the east side of Lambeau. They're planning on butting up the stage against sort of the Resch Expo, whether or not it's going to be on the street or just off the street. That's where the stage is going to be, and it's going to be facing Lambeau Field and this giant parking lot over to the northeast side, if you're following along with Google Maps here. It is their largest lot. And so it's really the only option. I don't super love it. It's probably going to be a lot better than I'm anticipating, and I don't know. Google Maps kind of shows what appears to be all construction. I don't know exactly what's to the south, if that's all going to be cleared out and made into an additional space, which would give more space, or if there's actually crap in the way. I don't really know what's over there. Looks like there's a giant gate. Maybe that's where the players go in and crap like that. The thing I don't like about it is really it is a giant square where we're going to pack 250,000 people to stand, and there's nothing else there, right? If you're over on the Titletown side, Lambeau Field is obstructing your view. You can't see anything from over there. So you'd have to go to the other side of Lambeau Field, and again, it's just a giant square parking lot, and that's it. There's nothing else there. You've got the Resch Center, you've got a Best Western, you've got a bunch of houses, you've got Don Hudson Center. So, I don't know. Again, it's just different than what I envisioned in my mind. But it's probably going to be different than I'm currently envisioning in my mind. I'm sure the tailgating is going to be out of control. I'm sure the Packers are going to bring in lots of stuff. These other parking lots are all going to be open. But again, they're all obstructed. Their view is all obstructed to where this is going to be. So the bottom line is, if you're there and if you're watching the actual draft go on and you want to go do something else, you got to go. Like it's going to be a hike to go anywhere else. But I don't know how these other ones are. Maybe that's the case with all these things, with all these other drafts, where most people are not just standing in the area to actually watch the draft and are off doing other stuff. But anyways, it was kind of cool to get a picture of it. Again, it was different than I pictured in my mind. I don't know why. I should have actually looked at it and said what makes the most sense. Again, I would have loved it if it was over on the west side. It just seems like it would be cool. Imagine actually being able to see the draft from up on the sledding hill, what kind of cool shots you'd have been able to get. But it's really just not feasible. You can't put enough, you can't fit that amount of people over there. And again, you've got the utilities and everything else that are over there. That would be a massive problem. So yeah, that's what it's going to be. And heck, we're less than a year away from the big draft going on in Lambeau. So that should be pretty cool. Pretty cool. In other news, I found this kind of funny. Comment about Aaron Rodgers. First of all, obviously, anytime you bring up Rodgers, there's some consternation about it, but I thought this was kind of funny and well said. Diana Rossini did some reporting, and I don't remember if she's the one that came out and talked about Rodgers having a list of demands or what. I know it was a female reporter. I can't remember which, but Rodgers obviously went scorched earth on her. But she made a comment that I thought was actually quite funny. This is from, Yardbarker. I think it's probably from somewhere else. Yardbarker's just an aggregator. But anyways, during a Wednesday appearance on New York sports radio station WFAN, NFL insider Diana Rossini of The Athletic explained that quarterback Aaron Rodgers skipping the New York Jets' 2-day mandatory camp is an inexcused absence this week. Was about, quote, Rodgers making a choice to not be at football practice while the rest of the team is here working, which of course is true. And again, the argument that, yeah, well, he had something to do is so stupid. You are a football player. That's what you do. There's a reason that 0 other players have inexcused absences, with the exception of people who are deliberately sitting out because of contract disputes. There is one guy who's more experienced than probably anybody else in the NFL that can't figure this out. Come on. Anyways, Rossini had plenty more to say about the Jets and about her coverage of the team. It's all self-inflicted, Rossini said about the Jets' last situation, per Brandon Contes of Awful Announcing, quote, and I think that's the hardest part about covering the Jets. It just feels like they do it to themselves at times. It's just a problem that never seems to get resolved. Skipping down a little bit, in a piece published January 31st, Rossini and Rosenblatt touched upon alleged flaws with the Jets' coaching staff, offensive personnel, and team's culture. Quote, it's just, I can't get through a week without something, Rossini said about the Jets on Wednesday. And that's always so interesting about this, because Jets fans think this girl's the worst. She's always stirring the pot. And this is love about what she said. She said, I didn't trade for Aaron Rodgers. I didn't name Nathaniel Hackett the offensive coordinator. I didn't sign Alan Lazard. I didn't do any of this. You guys did. And that's all entirely true. Again, it's like, why are you doing this? Why are you stirring up the drama? Bro, you didn't show up to mandatory training camp, and it was inexcused. And again, let me say it again, he's the only one that had something better to do. And by the way, he didn't have something better to do. You know how I know that? Because it was inexcused. It would have been excused if it actually was something that he needed to go to. Anyways, I put that on there just as a preface to me talking about Aaron Rodgers, because obviously that can be touchy in and of itself. But again, I didn't do it. I didn't decide to skip mandatory camp because I got something better to do. And yeah, I make fun of the Jets because they're stupid. They signed Nathaniel Hackett. The coach has no backbone whatsoever. He can't put anybody in his place. He can't even bring himself to fire the offensive coordinator that refuses to work because he's scared of Aaron Rodgers. He can't man up and face Aaron Rodgers because he's scared of him directly. The guy has no frickin' spine. But that was kind of the main thing, because there was also conversation, and I'd even mentioned this a couple times, why not just call it excused? And you could have avoided all the drama. And that's what most people have been talking. Why do they do this to themselves? Why did they come out and say it's an inexcused absence? Why? During a recent appearance on The Rich Eisen Show, NFL insider Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated offered more information on the subject. Quote, the best I can answer this right now is that I feel solid about is that he is somewhere that they could not excuse and maintain credibility with the rest of the locker room, but would be expected and would not be out of left field for him. So, he goes on to say, so you guys can open your mind, so to speak, as he's been known to open his mind sometimes, into all the possibilities. And that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? You tell your entire team it's mandatory you have to be here, and Aaron Rodgers goes to some BS thing that is not important to go to, and you just say, oh, that's fine. In other words, you would never be able to save face with your locker room if you excused it. Now, based on that quote, my immediate thought went to ayahuasca. Because the sentence doesn't even make sense, but he's like, so you can open your mind, so to speak, as he's been known to open his mind sometimes into all possibilities. He went somewhere that would be expected for him, not out of left field for him. It seems like he was heavily leaning into that. However, and this is rumor, but it's coming from multiple sources, Rodgers has a history of embarking on what some would refer to as unique trips during off seasons and ahead of campaigns. FS1 personality Colin Cowherd said earlier this week he was told Rodgers was on vacation overseas. And The Athletic's Diana Rossini mentioned on Thursday that the future Hall of Famer was, quote, taking a vacation overseas and, quote, didn't want to reschedule it around Jets practices. Wow. The Jets reportedly will fine Rodgers over the minicamp absence, even though teammates such as running back Breece Hall, cornerback DJ Reed, and fellow cornerback Ahmad Sauce Gardner have publicly defended the 40-year-old who's still recovering from a torn Achilles he suffered on September 2023. Let me just tell you, this is an irrelevant piece of the story, because players will generally always stick together, especially in public. Nobody's going to criticize Aaron Rodgers. That's completely irrelevant to the story. Quote, they communicated to him that they wouldn't be able to excuse him for that, and again, it's because that's how you maintain credibility with your locker room, Breer said about how the Jets are handling Rodgers' decision to skip minicamp. You can't do something for one person you wouldn't do for the other stars of the team, let alone like guys down the roster, right? It's just, it's great to be able to comment on it and laugh about it and realize it has no bearing on what we've got going on here. But if that's true, and I'm willing to bet Aaron Rodgers at some point will resurface and he'll go on Pat McAfee and he'll say that everybody who commented on what he is doing is an idiot and he didn't go on vacation and it was something serious and it was, probably going on some frickin' trip in the mountains or something, but that he doesn't consider a vacation. It's not a vacation, it's a training exercise. I train the alignment of my chi or whatever. However that works, I don't know. It is just crazy to me, though. What are you doing, Rodgers? Why don't you just hang it up, man? Just go on vacation permanently. Just go. I don't understand this. Like, I'm all in. I'm super locked in, real intense. Like, the training regimen is out of control. And maybe that was a last year thing and he just gave up already. That was the honeymoon phase. But in that case, just freaking hang. Maybe he feels he can't because of the contract and he made promises and now he's just like, I shouldn't have done that. That was stupid. Oh, well, I don't care. I'm going on freaking vacation. But that's crazy. I mean, you're either all in or you're not. Are you going to do this or not? And it would be one thing if it's like, I'm not doing it, and he's off like rehabbing the Achilles and he's doing all this crazy stuff. If this dude's legitimately on vacation, boy, oh boy, I would be livid. I would be frickin' livid. Nothing says I don't give a damn about being your quarterback like skipping a mandatory team activity to go on vacation with the attitude of go ahead and find me like $100,000. I don't care because I'm rich and I'll happily pay it. God. It would be, if Saleh hasn't figured out that this is a disaster, that should have been the thing that did it. And as much talent as is on that roster, including Aaron Rodgers, I can't fathom how this thing comes together. What an absolute cluster. What a mess. The levels of dysfunction are insane to me. Anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to get out of here. It's getting late. I got to go. I was going to do a live Packernet After Dark tonight, but it's already almost 10 o'clock. So we had some tornado warnings and everything else as per usual. I had the power cut off. And anyways, ran out of time. We'll plan on that for tomorrow or tonight, I suppose. Either that or Jeopardy or something, but we'll figure it out. You guys have a good rest of your day, night, whatever. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.